Now, facial recognition systems being used in the development around King's Cross train station are to be investigated by the UK's data protection watchdog. The Information Commissioner, Elizabeth Denham, says the use of the technology should concern us all and that she was deeply worried about its growing use. Well, the King's Cross Central Development is home to both King's Cross and St Pancras international stations, as well as plenty of restaurants, shops and cafes. Well, Argent, the company behind the development, has declined to say how long the facial recognition cameras have been in operation, what the legal basis is for their use, or in fact what systems it has in place to protect the data it collects.
In 21st century society, a widely accepted yet dangerous rhetoric has emerged that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. This has facilitated and advanced the act of compiling, politicizing, and monetizing data captured and disguised as surveillance. To investigate this condition, the project analyzes a site of intense surveillance activity, King's Cross in London. King's Cross has been the subject of much controversy regarding its unsolicited use of facial recognition technology in the public realm. Through public recognition and backlash of these surveillance technologies, however, the practice is currently under review. This investigation occupies multiple scales: the sight, the body, the face, and the pixel. Reading surveillance through each scale enables an understanding of its practice as extremely pervasive and deeply entrenched, acting across all bodies, both physical and digital, close and distant. In order to interrogate the surveillance strategies in King's Cross, the project then undertakes a process of digital reconstruction that catalogues all visible instances of surveillance technology on the site. This process begins with a photographic documentation of the site, which becomes a reference for remote reconstruction of the built environment and correct camera placement. Through this reconstruction, we're able to inhabit the surveillance networks and begin to understand the true scope of its coverage, entering the viewport of the camera and acting as its operator. This network surveillance has almost complete coverage over the public realm. At the scale of the face, remote surveillance shifts to a more embodied mode of vision. Footage is cropped to the area of identification, and as such, we lose the context of the observation. Each view is taken from a camera fixed to one of the private buildings on the site. It's only possible to build a contextual route of the targeted individual when these separate buildings cooperate with each other fully. Without all institutions sharing their public realm surveillance, complete coverage cannot be achieved. The structure of each face is created through identifying key facial markers and mapping their relationship to one another, distilling the face to a constellation of points and connections. The image of the face is then divided into zones of contrast, and all other information is removed, leaving only the diagnostic fragments of discerning features. By selectively painting the face to create unusual tones and areas of contrast, the key facial markers are obscured and rendered the face harder to detect. By disrupting the natural symmetry of the face, it becomes more difficult for the algorithm to construct an accurate model. By concealing parts of the bridge of the nose, the relationship between the eyes and nose is disrupted and the face becomes difficult to reconstruct. When these instances of false recognition are assembled together, we can read the face as a strategy of rebellion. The subversion of facial recognition systems can offer the most powerful means of protest against its implementation, as by rendering it inaccurate through facial camouflage, its use becomes redundant. It is only through this collective model of resistance that we can hope to intervene with network surveillance, such as in King's Cross.